Hello, guys, and we are live. This is, I guess you could say, a special edition of the show. And the reason it's a special edition is if you're a subscriber of the channel, you're probably thinking, didn't you just do this an hour ago? And the answer is yes, we did. And the audio ended up being unlistenable. And I figured it out. Thank God it was not a messed up mic like I thought it was. Just some issues with different mics picking different things up. And we have fixed it. So here we go. And we're going to do this again. So that other video has been deleted. If you haven't watched it yet, don't worry about it. If you did watch it, this will just be a shorter, streamlined version because the important thing is just getting Karen's story out there. So this one, there'll be a little less fat on this one, if you will. So let me go ahead and get into Karen's story. Give me just a moment here. Okay. So our subject tonight. On Friday, January 19th of 2007, Karen Bodine got into a fight with her boyfriend at his house in Lacey, Washington, and was removed from the home, having a restraining order placed on her. She left the house and went down to stay with her boyfriend's friends on 14th Street, just walking distance from the home she had just forcibly left. 3 days later, on Monday, January 22nd, Karen's body was found 30 minutes away in Rochester, Washington, just off the highway in a gravel pit typically used to dump old cars and junk. Karen's head lay on an abandoned car seat by her body, a ligature around her neck. The closeness to that road and its easy visibility seems to suggest that whoever put her there either wanted her to be found or was in an extreme rush. There were many better places to conceal it just feet away. Many people fear whoever is responsible may be a local, as the area is mostly known to those local to it. But there are not many leads to go off of after Karen left her boyfriend's house and went to stay with friends. We do know there was a wellness check done on her at the 14th Street home, but we do not know who called it in. Those police officers who performed the wellness check are believed to maybe be some of the last people to have ever seen Karen. But until this day, who's responsible for her demise remains a mystery. And tonight, Karen's daughter, Karlee Odin, hopes someone who sees this will come forward and give what information they know. Even if it's a piece of info that seems too small or inconsequential to make a difference, that is usually precisely what ends up solving these cases. Karlee, thank you for coming on tonight. I just want you to know I'm so sorry for what you're going through and that you have the support of both me and my team.
Thank you.
And I'm so sorry to make you do this again. But like we had said when we spoke privately before, it's better to do it right and get your mom's story out there than to have people focusing on what went wrong during it on my end.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So do you want to start by telling us a little bit about your mom and then kind of lead us into the weekend before this happened?
Okay. Well, she was such an encompassing person that it's hard to try to describe her, but I will give it a shot. She was the type of person that could laugh and make the whole room like burst out in laughter or joy because her laugh was just so contagious and joyful and happy. Even though like she snorted sometimes, so I mean she's the only person that looks adorable doing that. I'll tell you that. She was I don't know, I guess like the classic mom in some senses. Like she made homemade birthday cakes or cupcakes or whatever. I didn't know till you were older that you go on Halloween to go to a store to go get your costumes. Like our mom always made ours, and I was always a witch or I don't know, whatever. But she always made the best costumes. Um, she was just no matter what, she was always there, whether we were living with her and she was there 24/7, or if we were with our grandparents, she was there no matter what, at sporting events or at birthday parties or just hanging around to come see her kids. Like we were definitely important to her. That's for sure. Like I think her kids defined her a little bit. She really loved us. She made that known to everybody. But she was more than just her kids. She loved a lot of things. She loved animals and horses and cats a lot, particularly. Um, she was very athletic in school, but not just athletic. Like she was uh very good at like makeup and sewing and all that kind of stuff. Like she was like a she never did like beauty pageants or anything, but she was like a beauty queen. Like she was so good at like everything she did. Like she could be a model. Like it was ridiculous. Um, well, my sister is a model now. That's probably where she gets it from.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
actually. I'm the oldest, but I'm tiny. I weighed 1 pound and 9 ounces when I was born, actually.
Premature
Um,
or no?
yeah, I
I was
was a
gonna say I
preemie.
never
My
even heard of
my
that.
mom and I were on the front page of the newspaper way back when in the Olympian.
Oh my God.
Actually, give me 1 second, and I have that. I will show
Yeah,
that
yeah,
off. Give
yeah,
me one
absolutely.
second.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And anyone who is joining us, there is a small group here because we already had a couple hundred people come through the main, the earlier interview, let's say. So I do apologize for the turnout here, but this is just a bit of a redo in case you missed the beginning. And actually, it's Karlee's kind of already remembering a couple things that she didn't say in the first one, so it's turning out better. Now we're going to get to see a cool picture of a 1 pound 9 ounce Karlee.
I don't know if I have it actually because I just moved. I'll look. I'll try to remember where it is, but 'cause I don't want to
Okay,
dig
no
around
biggie.
during the whole thing. But yeah, I can always just show it in the comments later too if I find it. But yeah, we were
Sure.
on the front page of the newspaper way back when because I was 1 pound 9 ounces. We had to fly up to Seattle. We're from Olympia, which is about 2 hours from Seattle, and we had to fly all the way up there. I was born October 7th, and I didn't get to go home till Thanksgiving. So that's kind of
Oh
a crazy
wow.
story. And then my brother and
What
sister
weight were you
are
when they brought you home? What did they fatten you up to?
two
Two
pounds and
pounds?
2 ounces.
I
So,
was kidding when I said 2 pounds. I can't believe that's really the
right?
answer.
I know. Actually, we got a scale. I think it lies. It says I'm 97 pounds. That's got to be a lie. But yeah. But my sister and brother, they're younger than me, but they're almost 6 feet tall. So naturally, my sister's a model because she's tall and gorgeous and beautiful. So just like my mom was on the taller side. Not quite as tall as my sister, I think, but my mom was tall and pretty too. So
And how tall are you?
5 foot, maybe.
You're
I'm
5 foot and your
little.
sister's almost 6 foot?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Everyone thinks I'm the little one, but I'm the oldest.
That is so funny.
Yep.
Actually, Tammy Spang, who was in the chat, and she was in our earlier
Mm-hmm.
chat. I believe it's the same with her sister, where the older one is a lot shorter. Is that right,
Right.
Tammy?
Right. So she knows how it goes.
um, first, let's show some pictures of Karen. Give me just a moment here. I'm not going to forget, like I always do, to share
Right.
the screen. Here's Karen. She's a very, very pretty girl. Is that
Mm-hmm.
that's your sister there?
Yep. That's my sister, my older sister, and my younger sister. Sorry, I'm the oldest. My younger sister and my younger brother.
Oh,
But they
cool.
look like they're older. That's my
Tiny
little
little one
brother
in the
there.
middle.
Yeah. And it says Lady Killer. That's my little brother and my mom. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him commenting on some videos.
Yep. That's her
Um,
grave because she liked cats so much. Yeah.
oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, you had mentioned cats earlier, so we definitely will get into that. Um, so okay, let's go over that weekend. So she gets in a fight on Friday with her
Hmm.
boyfriend. Do you want to put his name out there or no?
Yeah, his name's Kevin.
Okay. She gets in a fight with him. He gets a restraining order on her, so she walks to her friend's house, but it's really his friends that she knows through him, but now they're kind of friends, kind of thing.
I believe so because I know for a fact like she would like way before she ever died or anything, she would call me and be like, I'm at band practice and it's so boring and I just want to go home. Like I remember her calling and complaining, it's like this is boring. Like and I mean it probably was. I mean, they were in like some loser band. It's not like they went out and played shows or anything. I think they were just grown men playing instruments trying to find something to do. I don't know. But they called themselves a band, so but yeah, I
um,
think that's how they met was through the boyfriend initially is what I think. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you say 3 people were living in this house at the time?
I believe so. I believe 3 people like resided there, but I also know it was kind of like a party house, like a hangout house. So I know they had people coming and going, like people just kind of hanging out, but they didn't live there. But I think the people that hung out were pretty regular.
Okay. And do you know of anyone else besides those 3 that visited that weekend?
Um, Not that I really know of. I know the police have tracked down and like talked to everyone throughout the weekend, but I don't think there's any particular like persons of interest or anything we don't know about. Um, I think the cops would have said something.
And my understanding is people within the house have given different stories. Do you want to go into the different stories that were given as far as what your mom did that weekend?
Yeah, a few of them was like that she just left. Another one was that she got a ride from a friend or someone gave her a ride somewhere. And then another one is that some car just picked her up, which I don't know if any of them are true. I don't know which one would be true if they are true. But also, when she was found, there was a car that was reported to be seen where she was found, but there we don't know if there's a correlation between those cars, and we haven't been able to track down the car since then. It was like a 1980s like Datsun, like a brown or maroon color, but
Okay,
we
so a
don't know.
1980s Datsun was seen in that area, and you mentioned the person thought they saw a mannequin inside the car.
Yeah, they thought they saw a mannequin in the back, but now in hindsight, they're thinking maybe like it was my mom's body. And so now, like maybe the passerby like scared off the person is what, we're thinking maybe.
Absolutely. And then she's found with a car seat, her head on a car seat, like someone might have hurriedly rushed her out and they didn't even try to hide it. Tammy Spang asked, where did this info come from? I think she means the person who saw the car.
The person that saw the car, um, I got that information from the police, I think, and the newspaper article, I think, said something about it. So it is documented, like it is like a supposed like known, I wouldn't say fact, but lead, I guess. But they could be wrong on the make and model of the car, you know. I think she was found by like 8 a.m. or something, like initially by like authorities. So that must have meant that prior to that, passerbys had to have seen her. And this is on the West Coast in January. So at like 7 or something in the morning, it could have, or 6 in the morning, 6 or 7 in the morning, it could have still been dark or just getting light, so not fully light. So maybe they got the make and model wrong. I don't know. Or maybe that was the right car. I don't know. But it is
Okay.
weird. So, and that's the thing is the stories conflict. The people at the house, one person says she walked away, another person says she got in the car. Well, what is it? Did she get in the car or did she walk away? What are you guys not saying? What are you guys hiding?
And has anybody ever sat them down together to so that, Bill says, "Oh, she walked away," and then Sarah can say, "No, no, no," because remember she turned right, where they all can kind of group their thoughts?
That's kind of an ingenious idea. I don't think they have been talked to together. I know initially when this
Well,
all
thank you.
happened, they were interviewed, separately, but that's kind of a good idea.
Yeah,
Um,
because it could just be you know, they're not trying excuse me, they're not trying to be deceptive, but 3 different people can see one thing from 3 different angles and see it differently until the other person says,
es-
"Oh no, that wasn't a this, that was a that," and then it kind of gets cleared up.
especially, yeah, especially if you're not completely sober
Yeah, yeah,
too. So, yeah, that is probably a good idea to just kind of set them down and kind of get a better timeline.
yeah. Say,
Um,
why do you think what you think? Why do you think what you think? And work it out between yourselves as to where the discrepancy
Right.
is.
I might have to talk to the detective about that. That's kind of a good idea. The detective now that is on it is the best that we've ever had. He's not even the lead detective on the case. There is no lead detective on the case. But the guy that's taking it over, I guess, taking it into his own hands, is doing an amazing, like out of the water, fabulous job. Whereas before, this either got no coverage or bad coverage or got swept under the rug. That's a little bit not the case anymore. Like it's finally starting to see the light of day a little bit. Better late than never.
For sure. And so her head is resting on this car seat.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say you had said earlier in the previous interview that something? What did you say that it was being DNA tested, or can you go into the details of what you were talking about there in regards to the car seat?
Yeah. Not necessarily the car seat, but and I don't know if it's DNA, but because the detectives couldn't be super specific with me because of evidence and open case files and all that. But the general idea or the gist that he was able to tell me was they have some kind of forensic evidence. And with the new advances in technology and everything, because this happened in 2007 and it's 2020 now, so that's 13 years already. Wow, 13 years. Um,
Yeah.
and so I mean, 13 years ago, you didn't have iPads and cell phones and everything like that. So just think about how far technology has advanced for us. So think about how far it's advanced for science and all these other things. So the not DNA, the evidence, whatever they initially collected, that they didn't know exactly what they were collecting for. They just collected it rather safe than sorry. Well, now they have a use for it. And they're sending off to go do all these crazy new tests. I don't know exactly the details on the test, but I know it's new, cutting edge, like breaking science. The only fallback is it could take a little while to get results. So, but I mean, like we just said, I've waited 13 years. I unfortunately can wait a little more. If that's the problem too, is people know something, either someone or more than someone. Some people know something and they're just being stupid and keeping their mouth shut, and they're letting a family suffer and hurt, and they're just doing nothing about it. But if they won't talk, science will eventually.
And I'm assuming the police know who the person is that saw that Datsun there, right?
I believe so, yes. I don't think I know the name off the top of my head, but I believe it is written in the reports. Yes.
Okay. And I'm assuming she would have been questioned for anything she does know. That could explain um, why the body was left like it was, not really hidden, because you had said that there would have been plenty other places around there if somebody wanted to hide her, right? So you're thinking either they wanted her to be found, or we're in this big rush or something.
Well, yeah, see that's the thing is it's like a little gravel pit or like a little rock quarry type like area that's not super big, like the size of half a basketball court or something. About, I'm just guessing. About is the gravel area, but right past that is like really dense nature and forest and woods and everything. Like, and it's a rural area, so there's not houses super close by or anything. I mean, there's houses around, but not super close. Like, and so if you wanted to, you could hide something a lot better than what was hidden. Even where she was at, she was closer to the road than farther back. Like, so they were either startled and they left in like a super hurry, or my take on it is that they were remorseful and that's why she was like resting on the car seat.
Right. And we don't make any hard accusations on this show, but it is worth following the thread over the 3-day span. Gets in a fight with the boyfriend. He files a restraining order, goes to his friend's house, essentially. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden she's dead, and somebody seems to show remorse. So again, absolutely no accusations, but that's a heck of a storyline thread to follow. So it's just worth mentioning that that's kind of how this played out. However, there is a little bit of a wrench in this. So someone did a wellness check, or called in a wellness check, I should say, on her in the weekend. I think, was it Sunday? And some people think that those two police might be, or 2 or 3 police officers, whatever it is, might be the last person.
Yeah, I believe it was on Sunday. I forget the exact time, so don't quote me on it. But around like 4 or 5 p.m. to like 11 p.m., I think the cops did a check on her. It had to have been 1 in the afternoon, I think, between like 4 and 7 or something. The cops did a check on her. She was either really good at acting and there was something wrong and she fooled them, or at that point there was nothing wrong.
Okay. And for anyone that knows the area, do you want to describe, I mean, you said like gravel pit, woods and stuff, but do you want to describe where it is, how to get there, just in case someone says, oh my God, that's where Bob always hung out, something like that.
Right. You go, it's off of Little Rock Road, and Little Rock Road's like a main road in that area. You follow Little Rock Road, and then you take a left on Sargent, and right where Sargent and Little Rock Road meet, that's where it is. Like, you can't miss it. Like, you'll see the gravel pit. If you're coming from Olympia to Rochester, it's on your left-hand side. If you're coming from Rochester to Olympia, it's on your right-hand side, and you'll see it no matter what. But there's also, ever since my mom was found there, there's a little cross with like some little knickknacks and stuff there, and it's right there. Yeah. Even a friend today, I was telling about this, and they're like, Rochester? I live in Rochester. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know about this. So.
Really? That long?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, that's because of the press it didn't get. And something that happened a lot in this case, we talked about in the previous video, is victim blaming and victim shaming, which is absolutely not right. But there's a lot of that in this case, guys, where people find out that it wasn't a person who never did anything wrong in their life, and they say, oh, they don't care, or they blame them. But you know what? If whether or not we deserve to be found if something happens to us is based on if we've ever made a mistake in our life, then none of us deserve to be found. So we all do, or none of us do.
Exactly. Like, we're all human. We've all made mistakes. Just because you're an addict doesn't mean you're not a person.
Yeah.
So, and that was the problem, was it came out very early that she had struggles with addiction. And originally it was misreported. Let me repeat that. It was misreported because the Olympian sucks at their job. I just want to make that very clear. That she was a transient, and that is not true.
I did read that.
The Olympian is regrettably horrible. I read that newspaper growing up. I loved it. But they misconstrued my mom in a most ungrateful manner, and it was disgusting and deplorable, and I don't think they would want any of their family members treated like that ever. And then on top of it, about every 3 months, every 6 months, every year or whatever, since this has happened, so what is that, 12 years, I've called the Olympian asking him to do a story, to do anything about my mom, and they refused. Or they either refused or they wouldn't even call me back. It was that simple. Same with the detectives. I would call and call and call, and nobody would answer, and nobody would call me back. It was disgusting until Mickey Hamilton, until the detective that's not even on the case stepped in. He's finally doing something.
Did he contact you out of nowhere, or you found him?
He did. He's the one that contacted us about the crowd solve or the crime con thing or whatever that my family did last year in October in Seattle. He's the one that had the case on his mind. He contacted us about it.
Wow. Well, good job to him,
Hmm.
Mickey, for sure.
We
The
were at our
family
wits'
needed.
end. I mean, nobody was listening to us. We were screaming, "Hey, hey!" You know, like I said, I called the Olympian every 3 months, every 6 months. So I want everyone to know, that she just because she had problems does not mean she was not a person. Like we have shouted to the ends of the earth to try to get help, and people don't listen. They didn't care.
Mm.
And like you said, if us being found is on the merit of our mistakes, then no one deserves to be found. If that's the case.
Yeah,
So and
totally.
like you said, we're all human, so everyone deserves to be found. So
Yep.
yeah.
If one of us doesn't, then none of us do, and vice
Mhm.
versa. If one of us does,
Mhm.
then all of us do.
And that's
Um,
my point too. Is yes, I'm angry at the person or people that did this. Don't get me wrong, but that's not my point, and that's not what I want. I want peace for my family, and I want answers for my family, for myself, and I want peace for my mom and my grandma and my sister. I don't care about whoever did it. Yeah, you deserve whatever. That's not for me to decide. I just want answers. I want to know what happened to my mommy. I want to think about the good times we had or the memories we had before. I don't want to think about how she died or who killed her because that's what I think about every night. And I don't want to do that.
for sure. Brad Chamberlain says the Olympian is a joke.
Hmm. That's so
um,
true.
so you had spoken about things can be given anonymous, things like that. You just more care about finding out what happened, not who gives the
Hmm.
tip. But
Oh,
for
and
the
also,
person,
also, sorry to interrupt you, but money talks. So there's $1,000 Crime Stoppers reward for information, but there's also a private family reward too, cause money talks. It has to lead to an arrest. Like it can't just be, information that leads nowhere. I mean, we're not going to give you money for nothing for lies, because I know, unfortunately, there's evil people in the world and they do jerky things like fake ransoms and all that. So I
yeah,
know that might happen, but um their money does talk too. I don't care. It could be anonymous. And same with the Crime Stoppers one too. It can be anonymous. I don't care. I just want answers. I want to know what happened.
for sure. And if anybody out there is listening and either one knows something that they're scared to come forward or don't want to come forward out of loyalty or whatever, or two, somebody who actually did something, of course. Is there a message that you want to get directly to either of those people or groups of people?
I will try to be kind and be nice. This is a small town. I know someone knows something or multiple people know something. It's not fair that you're keeping it to yourself. You've stolen something from me, from my brother, from my sister, from my uncle, her brother, from her parents, from all of her friends and all of her other family. You stole something. You will never be able to give it back ever, but you could at least try to right your wrong and and make it, not right, but try to right your wrong and tell us what happened, tell us who did it. um I'm not seeking justice. I mean, I'm not here to punish you. I just want answers. That's what I want. My mom deserves answers. I know that she would, be fighting tooth and nail for me, and it's only fair that I do the same for her. And I will not rest until I find find out what happened. And I will say this too: my mother was a feisty person, and anyone that knows her knows that. And I am just as feisty, if not more. So I will find out, no matter what. The end. I will find out. We will know. Hmm.
I like the grunt at the end. Yeah, and she's 100% right, guys. If you know something, and for the people who think, oh, they probably already know what I know, or this little bit
Oh,
of
and every little
info.
detail counts. Like, let's say you saw it for 2 seconds, or what if you thought you saw the car, but you're not sure? I don't care. Say it. I'd rather get a false tip and pursue it rather than not hear it. Like, what if you know something that could break the case and you've been silent for 13 years because you thought you saw something and you weren't sure? I don't care. Just say it.
Yeah. 100%. Amy Max Productions TV says, "Hi, Karlee. It's Brad's girlfriend, Amy. Did they? You
Hi.
kind of answered this a little bit earlier, but just for the sake of thoroughness and to
Mm-hmm.
make sure we get Amy's question in, did they do any forensic tests on the car seat, and did they find any DNA on her clothes? Can you go over that one more time, quick, just because some people might not have been here."
At the time, in 2007, they didn't really have like, you see in like Law and Order and SVU or CSI and all that, like the crime scenes and all that is so super quick, and they get the DNA results super fast and just from the lick of an envelope. It's not actually like that in real life. Um, Even if you do have a sample, there's a limited amount of it, and so what test you do want to do, um, you want to save it because this test might give you something, but a test 2 years down the road is probably going to lead better results. So you might want to hold on to it until then, because if you use it for that test, then you won't have it for later,
Right.
if that
Yeah.
makes
It like
sense.
destroys it. It deteriorates it, kind of.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, it deteriorates it. There's not as much left. Like if you have a dozen eggs and you make an omelet, you're only going to have six left, you know? So it's kind of
For
like
me,
that.
you're lucky if you get two left.
Right? So it's similar concept. So when she was found, so Amy, to answer your question, when she was found, they took massive samples of I don't know if you would say DNA, but of like everything of that was like on her, around her, everything. They took samples and it's all been in storage, and they've just been figuring out like when is the best time to test everything. And they actually have sent some stuff off. They have some new advances and they have done that. We're just waiting on results. That's the thing. It's already been sent off. It's already been tested. Now we're waiting on the results, which could take a
And
while.
we got to pray that something comes from that. As long as it takes, if they do it right, that's all that matters.
Exactly. Right.
Thank you to Amy for that $10 super chat, by the way. I always try to shout them out. Thank you so much. So in the previous one that we did where the audio was unusable, we had talked about the boyfriend who, again, neither you or I are accusing, but you had said that you would like for him to be questioned a little more, and you had mentioned some things about polygraphs. Do you want to go into those details again?
Yeah. They asked him to do a polygraph. He said he would do a polygraph, and then he never did. But he's not a person of interest. Like they don't think he's a suspect or anything, so they couldn't force him to do the polygraph. And he's since then moved out of town. I think he's still in the general greater area, but not in the closer general vicinity. Because it is a very small town. I didn't think that when I was younger, but I'm 30 years old now, and I'm born and raised here, and I run into everybody everywhere. So it is pretty small, actually. So I imagine my mom being older than me. I'm sure she knew everybody. Oh my goodness. I know my grandma knows everybody.
Yeah.
So
I've always wondered what it's like growing up in one of those little towns. It's pretty cool.
I could not even imagine growing up in a big town.
um, so okay. But you said he said he was going to take a polygraph and he didn't, which that never
Right.
well.
But he's not a suspect or a person of interest, so they couldn't force him to. But the thing is I don't know. He was a boyfriend for a long time. They were awful close, and then he was friends with the people that she went to go stay with. You would think, and they were friends before my mom and him got together. So you would think that um, after she had died or whatever, that they would talk about it, like, "Oh my God, did you hear about so and so?" or what have you. So there had to have been conversations between them. There had to have
Not
been.
to mention they just got into a fight.
Right, right. That is true.
And I mean, not just the, screw you, screw you. We're talking things with legal implications, right?
Right. Yeah. in Washington, if there's like a domestic disturbance or something and the police get called, then one of the people has to leave the home, and I believe a restraining order gets put on one of them. Well, it got put on my mom because she was probably the aggressor. Well, not the aggressor, but whoever started the fight, she was the more aggressive one, pushing buttons or, whatever. I know once you pissed her off, you were pretty much done. Like, she was the kindest woman ever, but she was also very, very feisty and alive and crazy, for lack of better words.
So he didn't go to the courthouse and say, I want a restraining order. It's just kind of an automatic thing in Washington.
Yeah. And it had happened that Friday. And like when they went to court, they could have been like, oh no, we're fine, and it could have gotten dropped. But it never got to that because she died, unfortunately. But yeah, it could have easily been resolved. Or they could have just stayed broken up and it could have been resolved that way too. But yeah, I think it was just protocol.
Okay. And it is worth mentioning that there is a slight possibility of Israel Keys being responsible. It seems like he's far from the top of the list. A lot of people, so I covered the Maura Murray case previously, and a lot of my subscribers joined me from that case, so they would know that name. So I think it's important to bring it up because
excuse me. It's highly unlikely, but at the same time, they can't completely rule it out because he was in town at the time, and he was a little more frenzied towards the end of his run or what have you. But he was more known to be like planned out and methodic, and he had like little to-go bags or whatever, like stashed. Like he just had bags like stashed out in the woods for years.
he would bury him. Yeah, kill kits, either murder kits or kill kits. One of the other.
Yeah,
things.
for lack of a better word, like a kill kit. Yeah, like you can't get that at Home Depot. And so there's no evidence so far, or at least the police have mentioned or anything like that. But there's just a few unnerving coincidences. Like he was in town at the time she died. In one of his diaries, he stated that he treated a woman with red or pink tipped hair poorly, and at that time, I forgot to mention this until just now. At that time in school, I had dyed my hair like a little bit of pink at the ends or whatever, and that was like a big thing for me because I went to private school. And my mom, like I said, she was fashion queen, little diva, whatever. For once, she copied me. She dyed her hair pink, and one of the last times I had seen her, she had shorter hair. I had shorter hair back in high school too. We both could actually pull off short hair, which not a lot of women can. But we had shorter hair, and she had dyed the back of hers pink, just like mine. Not just like mine, but very similar. I thought that was flattering. Like, my mommy copied me. But he had said that he had treated a woman with pink or maroon hair or whatever poorly. There's that. He was in town.
And that would have been the time that she definitely had hers done like yours. Wow.
Yeah. That's what's creepy. Yeah. And there's reports of like her walking down the street or whatever about the time that he was in the area, and he was also known to pick up prostitutes and stuff, and maybe he mistook her for she never let me make that very clear. She never was a prostitute, but maybe he mistook her for one or something. Right. But at the same time, it's highly unlikely, especially in Olympia, like with the timeline and everything. It's more than likely someone she knew, like her group of friends. But there is a small chance that she could have gotten a fight with her friends, went and walked off in a huff, and then gotten picked up by a psychopath.
Right. And now her
So,
toxicology report, because she did have a couple substance um, off and on periods, and this could have been one of them. And so she had something in her system. So what about? Do they know who could have sold it to her? I'm just wondering if, because from my understanding with people who have substance issues, one thing that can trigger it is when you're having like a bad day, you get in a fight with your friends or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, and you just like walk away. That might be when you say like, "Oh, let me get something to calm down here." So, is it possible she went?
right.
What is the toxicology report show?
I believe, if I remember correctly, there was nicotine and I think some meth found in her system. So she had used within 24 or 48 hours or however long it's in your system. She had used, within the last day or two for sure. Um, well, I think within the last 24 hours, I think is how the reports go. I think if that's how they read them, right? I don't know. But there was meth and nicotine, I believe, in her system, but a
Okay.
small amount because I thought like, oh, did she overdose? Was one of my first thoughts. Or was she given like too much on purpose? And whatever it was what I thought initially, but that wasn't the case. There was only a small amount of drugs, and then I found out later that there was like a ligature around her neck or whatever. So obviously it wasn't drugs, but my initial thought it was. But then where did she get it from? Did she get it from the house she was staying at? Did she go to another house when she left? Because there is I believe there's video surveillance of her getting cigarettes at the gas station the night she was killed, like that Sunday night, because she was found Monday morning. I believe there's surveillance of her like buying cigarettes. So did she stop somewhere and get drugs? Did she get drugs at that house? We don't know. We're trying to figure that out.
Okay. And I think you had said in the last one that there was video. She did go to a store or something.
Yeah, she went to, I forget. I want to say it's a Circle K, but I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that. But it's the gas station right next to where she was staying. Um, and there is surveillance video of her getting cigarettes because she even told the people at the house, I'm walking to the store to get cigarettes. And then there was surveillance video of her getting cigarettes. So we know she did that, but we don't know if she went right back to the house. We don't know if she went somewhere and then went back to the house. We don't know if she went somewhere and then got picked up by somebody or Israel or whoever.
Hmm. And yeah, I would say because he's known, I think he was called the most meticulous serial killer of the century or something. So that's probably
Mm-hmm.
why it's not super likely. But then again, like you say, he did start to get a little looser towards the end. Like I think one of his rules was not doing anything in his hometown. He would fly, then
Uh-huh.
drive, and
Yep.
that girl, I think she was a coffee girl, where
Yeah.
in his
Oh, that
hometown.
one is.
That's the worst
Yeah.
picture I've ever seen. I think about that all the
Oh my
time.
goodness.
Just her
I know
eyes. You
that's.
got to know the story behind it, but when you
Yeah.
do and you see those eyes,
Oh my gosh. I know
yeah.
it's heart-wrenching first of all, but yes. Oh my gosh. And the horrible thing is what people forget is yeah, he did that horrible thing, but I mean that person was a person, that's a victim and they get overshadowed in his infamy.
Oh
They're
yeah,
famous because of that person. Like
right,
they're a
right.
person completely outside of that.
I got to be honest with you. I mean, I'm no one to make this judgment, but if I had things my way, I wouldn't even allow a picture like that to be out. If that was my daughter's lasting memory,
Right.
that whole thing, oh, I don't
I'm gonna
know.
have to
I
agree
mean, I
with you
guess
on that
maybe it
one,
helps for the
but
investigation, but
right, or maybe, for history's sake or something, but you gotta have tough skin to do that. That's for sure.
I think it was Samantha Koenig. Is that the girl's name? I'm
I
trying to think off
believe
the top of my
so.
head.
I believe so.
Oh boy. So Max
Right?
had asked what store. You said you believe Circle K, right?
I believe Circle K. It's by Fred Meyers and Lacey. Um, It's either the Circle K, or there's a Shell station, or there's Harry's Market. I think those are the three that are right there.
Okay. So again, looking into boyfriend could be good. Sitting down all three people in the house to have them get their story straight would be good. You had mentioned on the previous broadcast, neighbors haven't been talked to. So I would maybe even go, I don't know how far you are from there, maybe go door knocking and say, hey, this happened to my mother at that house right there. I don't know if you're familiar with the story, but do any of these stories line up with what you know, or maybe try that with the neighbors?
That's like I said, ingenious, brilliant idea. Like, I want to talk to the neighbors. I want to tell the detectives to talk to the neighbors. That's something that had not been done, and honestly, I hadn't even thought about it until now. I mean, because I think about so many things and everything all the time. That's just not a direction my brain had gone yet.
Yeah.
And
Well,
like
you
you
get so
said,
much on
sometimes
your
it's
mind.
this right. And like you said, sometimes it's the smallest detail. Maybe that neighbor saw that car, or I don't know. I don't know.
And
So
you would
yeah,
think, okay, if there was an old lady that saw something, she'd come forward. But you have no idea how many times in the case say, oh, yeah, I saw her getting a Datsun, and I even know the license plate number. Why didn't you come forward? Well,
right,
nobody asked me,
right.
You never know.
Exactly. Exactly. And like I said, with the lack of either the lack of media and news coverage in the beginning, or the bad news coverage in the beginning, made it so either no one knew or no one cared.
Yeah. And that's a shame. That happens all too often. Before I started
Hmm.
doing this, I just kind of assumed. I mean, you hear bad about cops too, a lot, especially nowadays. But I always
Right.
just kind of thought like they mostly do their job and they care and everything. But the amount of people that come and tell me like, no, you don't know, they're not doing anything, and then they tell me
See,
the specifics, and I'm like, oh my god.
that's the unfortunate thing is I was kind of growing up in a little bubble. Like, I went to private Christian school. I believed in our government. I believed in our police. Like, they're, authority. They do the right thing. We trust them, until my mom died. And I'm like, what? Wait, you're not doing what you said you're supposed to be doing. You're not doing. Why am I at this person's house before you got here? Why am I questioning this person before you are? Why are you not writing in the report that I was here questioning this person before you were? Why are you not doing your job? Why am I paying my taxes for you to not do your job?
Right. For
Very
sure.
frustrating.
Max Productions TV asks, her boyfriend's house was close to Fred Meyer. These were all close, right? The stores, the boyfriend, the
Yeah,
14th Street.
yeah, yeah. Off 14th Street, right by Fred Meyer and all that, by like Panorama City, by the old folks' home.
So the
You're
boyfriend's
not you
house,
you have no idea what I'm talking about, but the locals do.
the locals. Well, it sounds like he might be local, but I don't know that for sure, Max. But I'm just guessing. So if I was if I was at the boyfriend's house, was gonna go to the store and then afterwards go to the 14th Street house, that would all be walking distance, all three of those.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Actually, until recently, I lived really close to there in some apartments, so I know for a fact it's all within walking distance because I've made the walk, which is kind of eerie, thinking like my mom has walked these steps before.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I pray that this can bring some closure, get some answers. What was you had earlier? Well, let's show some pictures, but then I want to get some information of where you can be contacted, as well as the
Yeah,
authorities. What was it? Thurston County, Thurston.
yeah. Thurston, Thurston County. So Thurston County Sheriffs. You can contact them. You can contact me. You can contact you. You can contact, I don't know, contact anybody as long as it gets in the right hands.
I'll put your mom's page. Justice for yeah, Justice for, is that what it is? I'm always
Justice
thinking
for
missing.
Karen.
Sorry, for Justice for
Yeah, no,
Karen
because you do mostly
Bodine.
missing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It threw me off because I was thinking it's always like finding or missing, and I'm like, wait a second. So yeah,
right.
justice for Karen Bodine. And then do you want to also put your personal page?
You can do that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll put that under there. I
I don't know
actually
how to
had
do
a
that. I'm
ton of
not
stuff
tech
in the other
savvy.
video, but oh no, I get it.
Okay.
And then, guys, my email will be below, jasonhebert100@gmail.com. You can always send it to me. I'll pass it along. But my recommendation is to the authorities and or the family way before me. Like I said, there's no reason you don't have to worry about sending it to me. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. But if you're only comfortable speaking to me, if you know me or something like that, and you don't like going to cops or whatever, then by all means, you can do that, and I'll pass it along.
Mm-hmm.
And I will put her page and her mom's page, Justice, on there, her Facebook page. Is there anything that I didn't think to ask, Karlee, just in relation to that day or anything that's happened in the investigation afterwards?
I think we've covered everything. I'm trying to think of back to the last video and remember if they're matching up now and making sure we covered everything. I think we
Yeah,
covered everything. If for some reason something like super important comes up that I just can't live without telling everybody, I can just leave it in the comments or something.
for sure. And keep an eye on them as people leave comments. A lot of times they ask questions for the families. Shirley
Right.
Thompson does ask, in what was Hamilton helping you? Does he need funds, etc.?
Okay,
In what
so
way she meant to say?
right. He is we got it the first time. He is a detective. I think, don't quote me on it, but I think he works more like uh robberies and like current homicides, just whatever's happening in Thurston County, the current events. But he is now working on my mom's case too. He's taken upon himself to completely do that. I mean, 24/7. Like, he's looking into all the leads he can. Like, he's made himself the head investigator pretty much. There wasn't one until he opened up the case again. He is the reason that CrowdSolve, or CrimeCon CrowdSolve, featured my mom's case. They were doing a Nancy Moyer one, which is another local sad story. It's a young mother. That's a one for you to do. She just vanished. She disappeared, and no one knows what happened to her.
I know that
She's
name.
still
Yep.
missing to this day. She's still missing
Wow.
to this day. And that was in Tenino, which is right next to Rochester, mind you, because it's all
Really?
a small area. Yep.
I
Small
know
town
that name. I'm
because
not familiar with
my
the specifics,
boyfriend's
but I know the name.
my boyfriend's grandma worked with her, actually. Like, I mean, it's such a
Wow.
small town that, yeah. I mean, anyways, we're getting off track. But what was the
The whole
question
6 degrees of
Oh
separation
yeah,
kind of thing. I don't
right.
know so
Yeah,
much.
exactly. So yes, so that's how he's helping. Like, it was sitting in the basement of the courthouse collecting dust. No one was looking into information. No one was going out and trying to find information. No one was doing anything until he started looking into it again. And that's how CrimeCon got a hold of it, because he started saying stuff. And that's why the newspapers picked up on it. It's because CrimeCon picked up on it. Like, he kind of got the ball rolling, all out of human decency.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Right.
Amy Max Productions TV asks, can they search and find who owned a truck like that in 2007? Does she mean the Datsun or?
I think so. And I think we talked about this in the last video.
Yeah.
That's where it gets tricky, is especially with like people that are using drugs or whatever. I try to explain this and I don't know if I can do it well, but like, let's say I sold my car to you, but I lost my title. But whatever, you paid me the money, so it's fine. So you're just driving my car now. But then you get arrested and the car gets impounded. Well, I'm still going to get the ticket for the impound thing because it's in my name. But everyone in town knows that you're driving the Blue Beetle or whatever it was. Everyone knows that's your car. No one's going to know that's my car. So when the police go and look, they're going to find that, oh, Karlee owns that car, not Jason. So we're looking for a Jason that owned that car. Karlee has nothing to do with this.
Right.
kind of a situation. So they don't
So
really know who
that's
owned
really
what
tricky.
car. If that makes sense, I just tried to break it down. I
No,
mean,
totally.
once people start using drugs and they start borrowing and trading and whatever, that's actually mine, but I paid for it. I don't know.
Okay. So that
So I
that
think
basically just
that
adds a whole
has
new
a
level of
little bit to
difficulty
do with it. Right.
Okay. Trying to match up this video to the last one to make sure there isn't anything we missed. I got my questions here.
Right.
Do you feel the location suggests that it's most likely a local, or?
I think so. Yes. You definitely have to know about that spot for sure. It's not just something you come across and you're like, oh, that looks like a decent spot to dump random junk. Like you have to know about it. And so I think that either the person that did it is the one that brought her there, or someone did it and then was like, oh snap, I don't know what to do, and told somebody or showed a friend or something, and the friend's like, okay, I'll help you, this is where we go.
Right. Because that's not an area like if a trucker was coming through, for example, or say Israel Keys or something. That's not. I mean, obviously they could have stumbled upon it, but that wouldn't likely be where someone would know to take them. That would be more like a kid who grew up in the area and that's where his buddies drank 10 years ago, kind of thing, or something,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. There is a lot of like in Capitol Forest is around there, and that's where a lot of people go to hang out and whatever. So yeah, it's definitely a local spot. Like you had to have known about it.
Okay.
I think definitely.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like if I was ever in the area, and I actually plan to be by the end of the year, doing
Cool.
like a road trip thing. But I plan to visit the different sites and stuff, so I'd like to see it for
Right.
sure. Sometimes you
Yeah,
can just get a
definitely.
sense when you're somewhere, like you don't get the
Right.
feel just hearing about it or in
Mm-hmm.
pictures.
Right. I hear you for sure. Yeah. No, it's I've seen the pictures of her site and I've actually been there. And you're right, pictures don't do anything real justice. Like being there in person really gives you this sense of awe.
Even like video, sometimes you'll watch a place in a movie and it looks awesome, and I mean, of course, a lot of
Right.
that's framing and stuff. They're intentionally trying to make it look
Right.
cool, but then you
Yeah, they're
go and you're like,
professionals
this
for
is
a
the room
reason.
where my favorite scene happened. Like what?
Right. No, I hear you.
All right. Well, I think we covered everything. If there's anything that you want to make sure gets out there that isn't like super public or anything, by all means, there's no rush. But
Trying to think. I think we pretty much summed it up. I don't know. Something was stolen from us and we won't ever get it back, but we just want answers.
and
I don't
please
know.
come forward, guys.
My
Anything,
grandma's about to
tiny bits.
die. My grandma's about to die soon. Like I don't want her to die in misery. I want her to, you know, die knowing knowing what happened to her daughter and everything. Like I want my family to be in peace. Like not just for me, like for my family. Like it kills me to watch my family be in pain.
Absolutely.
And it's scary because I'm getting in my 30s and my mom didn't even make it to 39. I think she was 38 when she died. That's scary. That's so young.
My my uncle was killed. He was 22, I believe. And when I was younger, when I was like 15, that seemed like forever away, like so
Right.
old. And then I remember when I hit it, the same thing, because he was murdered. And but we know who did it and everything. But the guy
Still,
went
that's
to jail and he's
still.
out. But I remember being like, wow, I'm older than Bobby was.
Yep, it's
So I
surreal.
think
It's like
that's what
he
you're
should,
going through
yeah.
this. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. It's just it was weird when I went to my mother's funeral before I graduated high school. That really made it real to me. Like, I remember getting ready and waking up and getting dressed and wearing all black. And I used to love black, and I still do, but getting all dressed in all my black and everything, and just thinking, like, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be picking out my graduation dress for in a few months. I shouldn't be getting ready for my mom's funeral. Like, it was unreal. And what was heartbreaking about that funeral was my little brother. Like, when it was time to speak, he could barely hold himself together. He couldn't even say 2 words barely, and what he did say was, he just looked at the crowd and he goes, "My mommy was so sweet. She would come and say the Lord's Prayer with me every night." And then he couldn't talk anymore. He just started bawling. Like, I mean, for a little kid, for a little 12-year-old kid to not even be able to talk, I mean, he'll
So
never get to
sad.
say the Lord's Prayer with his mom again, and someone took that from him.
And someone needs to come forward, because it's been almost a decade and a half. That's a really
That little
long
boy
time
is
not
still
to
going to
know.
remember that. He's an adult now, and he's doing amazing, and, you know, got his own career, but he's still going to remember that his mommy can't do that with him anymore. Someone stole his mommy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So please come forward if you know anything. All the links will be below, and I'll put the number for the sheriff. All right, Karlee. I believe we covered
you,
everything.
Jason.
Like I said, if there's
I think we
anything,
did.
feel free to say it. But other than that, I thank you so much for your patience doing not 1 but 2 interviews today.
Right. Anything
But
for my
either way, we
mommy.
got it done right now. What is that?
Anything for my mommy.
Absolutely. All right, I
Yep.
will get this pumped out everywhere. Thank you to everyone who joined. Thank you to everyone who joined once.
Yeah,
Never mind
thank
the
you,
people who joined
everyone. Thank you,
twice.
thank you. Yep.
And you've been amazing, Karlee. Your mom's very proud of you. We're going to get the word out for her, okay?
Thank you, and thank you for all your help and effort. You're much appreciated.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you shortly.
Yep, bye.
All right. Bye, guys. Have a great night. And she threw me off when she left. Subscribe to the channel. We do this almost every night. And hit the notification bell. Set it to all. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Thanks for joining Jason Hebert Live.